Stream is connecting. All right, that's a good sign. We have a warning there. But Periscope should be okay. So hopefully the recording of episode 120 of the House of Edtech podcast is going to go out to Facebook Live, Twitch, Periscope, and my YouTube channel. We're just going to make sure that things are indeed working. There we go. So we are over on Facebook. That's good. Now, let's see. If I click on this, I want to be... No, I don't want to hear myself. All right, so I see that, hello, Mark Barnes. You're checking us out on Facebook as I'm going to be recording this. Just want to make sure that all the other channels are also working. All right. Let's go and make sure that Periscope kicked in, because I'd like to be on Periscope while I do this. See, part of me doing this is also to demonstrate to some of the Rutgers kids that, hey, live streaming can be fun. And with a little bit of effort, it is not that difficult to do. So TweetDeck is refreshing. We can also open up Twitch and make sure that we are there. Because I'd like to be everywhere. Looks like the Periscope may not have kicked in. But let's go check and make sure that we are doing our thing on Twitch here on a Saturday afternoon in late October. Fall is in the air, which is a lot of fun. Let's go to my own channel and make sure I see myself where it says live, and there I am on Twitch. So that's a good thing. Very exciting. And I should also be on YouTube. Now, if you're watching this after the fact, you should be able to fast forward at this point, I don't know, let's say 4 minutes in, 4.5 minutes in, and we'll start the recording. Let's see. Let's go to my channel. And let's make sure. So that says that I am live. And let's make sure that there's video of me over on the YouTube. Yes. All right. That's awesome. Great. Very excited. All right. So. Yes, Mark. Live streaming is fun. Yeah, you got to be ready for the glitches. So hopefully there are no glitches. I played with this the other day and I tried lightstream.com or golightstream.com, which was supposed to be like an all-in-one free thing that would pick up, you know, the multiple cameras, but it just didn't go anywhere. So it would sense the camera and I was quote-unquote live on all the different channels, but then nothing. No video went through where I wanted it to go. So I abandoned that site. So anyway, I am going to be I'm ready to record. And when I do record this, the bulk of the episode is something that is pre-recorded. So I'm not going to play that here in the live stream. Basically, if you're watching this, you're going to see how I put together a lot of the episode, except for the featured content, which I'm going to put in after the fact. So you'll hear the beginning, my introduction, a couple of the segments, and then I will go into the closing. And then in post-production, I will put in the featured content. So if you're not subscribed to the House of Edtech, make sure you head over to chrisnessy.com/subscribe so you do get episode 120 when it releases on October 21st. All right, so Facebook is Facebooking, Twitch is Twitching, and YouTube is YouTubing. So I'm going to record, and if you have comments, I will come into the different chats after the fact. Or actually, what happens if I click monitor? Put that in a new tab and see what happens. Because I don't want to break anything. So I'm online right now. There's a window here where I can see all of the chats. That would make me happy. That's just Facebook, Periscope, Twitch. Okay. Social alerts. That just went out on Twitter and Facebook. Dashboard is just going to be that. So launch the chat app. There you go. Let's do that. And let's see if I can see. Oh, the chat is ready to display messages. And it looks like it'll be able to pull in chats from Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube. All right, so I will keep that open. I guess I'll have to investigate how to get the different chat or the chat from Facebook. And let's pull that tab out so we have a chat window. If you send something fun, I'll be sure to acknowledge it even right here in the recording. All right, so that's good. We're 7 minutes in, and we're finally ready to record episode 120 of the House of Edtech. Thank you for watching. And actually, let's see. Can I? Nope, that's not what I want. Let's see. This will be fine. All right. Here we go. Make sure to record, and we'll have some fun. All right, here we go.
I'm Jethro Jones from Transformative Principal, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual hosts. Make sure you check out the other great podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com. And get ready because the learning begins in 3, 2, 1.
Coming up on episode 120 of the House of Edtech podcast, I have a new Google Slides feature to share, a House of Edtech VIP as always, and I'm going to be sharing what I did on International Podcast Day. Strike up the band. Welcome to the House of Edtech podcast. I am your host, Chris Nesi. The House of Edtech explores how technology is changing the way teachers teach and the impact that technology is having in education. I discuss technology that is changing our classrooms and schools, and I share tools and tips that you can hear today and use tomorrow. You're going to hear the stories of teachers, leaders, and creators just like you. The purpose? Whether you use it or not, technology is changing the way you teach and how your students learn. Hello, podcast people. Welcome back to another episode of the House of Edtech podcast. I am so excited that you have chosen this podcast for your anytime, anywhere professional development. I've got a great episode planned, and we're going to be dipping a bit into the past, so there's your social studies reference for the episode. And we have a great recommendation. I've got an awesome House of Edtech VIP, and just a few things to share with you here at the top of the episode. First, I'd like to remind you, and again, if this is your first time listening, then hey, this is a great time to really get involved in what I do here. And I currently have a contest going on where I am giving away not one, but two Mead heat seal laminators. You know Mead, they're the Trapper Keeper company. I loved Trapper Keepers when I was a kid. But anyway, so we have a contest going to give away two heat seal laminators, and the laminator is awesome. I have it right here. It is a 9.5 inch little mini laminator, a thermal laminator. It is easy to operate, and I've got two to give away. If you use this, you're going to get reliable results. It uses both 3 and 5 millimeter thickness laminating pouches. It's got an easy internal jam release, and you get some starter pouches that come with it. And even if you don't win this in the contest, this unit only retails for about $18, and you can pick it up on Amazon. There'll be a link in the show notes over chrisnessy.com/120. And I'm excited to be giving away two of these. But how do you win one? It's really simple. All you need to do is rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher. An honest rating and a review, that's all I'm asking for. You can be positive, you can be negative, you could be indifferent. But please be honest, because it is that feedback that, one, helps to keep me inspired to produce the podcast, more so than I already am. And if there's something I can do to improve the podcast, I certainly want to take the time and put in the effort to potentially do that, depending on what you suggest that I try out. Now, if you listen to this show on a platform that's not Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, then I don't expect you to go over and use an app that you don't normally use to send a rating and a review. So what you can do, if you don't use the Apple Podcast app or Stitcher, send me an email to feedback@chrisnessy.com and share your thoughts on the podcast. Again, I am running this contest through October 31st, 2018. So that's Halloween. And if it's way past this, well, keep listening to the podcast, and I'm sure I'll have more contests coming up in future episodes. So get your feedback and rating and everything submitted by Halloween 2018, and I will be announcing the winner in our next episode, episode 121, that's going to be released on November 4th, 2018. So I've gotten quite a few entries, some new ratings, some great reviews and feedback on the podcast, which, again, I really, really appreciate. Next up, it is getting near the end of the calendar year, and if you've been with the podcast for any length of time, you are familiar with the House of Edtech Smackdown. So it's getting near the end of 2018, so here's my first announcement for the 2018 House of Edtech Smackdown. This is going to take place in episode number 124, which winds up being the last episode I will release this calendar year. This is the 5th annual House of Edtech Smackdown. These are always a lot of fun, and it allows me as the podcaster and the host to basically turn the show over to you. So those of you who are familiar with this, you know, if you send me your favorite EdTech tip, tool, recommendation, it goes in this episode, and it's a crowdsourced episode that's a lot of fun for me to put together and hear from so many of you who listen to the podcast and use so many amazing tools with your teachers, with your students in your classrooms. So there's so much, and it gives me the chance to say to you, the House of EdTech community, we're all in this together as far as people who are passionate about using education technology. So how do you get it to me? All you need to do is go to chrisnessy.com/feedback, and you can click the SpeakPipe button and leave me a voice message right there on the website, and I will get that and play it here on the podcast. Or you can also call the House of EdTech hotline, which is 732-903-4869. And I would like to get every entry, every recommendation you have, and feel free to send more than one. I certainly want to pack it with a lot of recommendations. And repeats are okay. So if there's something you use that I've mentioned, please feel free to share that. I would love to hear your story, because that's what we do here on the House of EdTech. We are telling stories that help other people. Just get your suggestion, your entry, your tip, your tool, whatever the case may be. Get that to me by Friday, December 21st, 2018, because that next Sunday, the 23rd, that's when episode 124 will come out. And again, that's the last episode for the calendar year 2018. And I look forward to getting all of your recommendations, tips, tools. It's really one of my favorite episodes that I do. And like I said, I've been doing it. This will be the 5th one, so it's really exciting. And I look forward to hearing all the great things that you are going to share with me. And now, let's jump right into the episode, and let's get over to the EdTech recommendation. So for this House of EdTech recommendation, I'd like to recommend a new feature in something that we all know and we all love. And I recently learned about and had access to, and I've been playing with, the new closed captions feature in Google Slides. This is really, really cool. And you might not even realize you have access to this new feature, because it's only a few weeks old as I record this here in October of 2018. So how does it work? When you enter presentation mode for Google Slides, in the bottom menu where you have access to like the little fake laser pointer and you could advance the slides by clicking the arrows and jump from around different slides, there's also a new closed captioned icon, and it's the CC icon that you will see on TV or anywhere where you might see closed captions, like YouTube or other video sites. So you'll see this new closed caption icon at the bottom when you're in presentation mode. Then, provided you have a microphone while you're presenting on that computer and it's detected, your presentations will now be closed captioned with whatever you're actually saying. Now, this is great if you're presenting in class or presenting at a conference or in a larger room where your presentation might be, much larger and in terms of its projection size. And sure, people can hear what you're saying, but if you have anybody who has any type of, auditory impairment, they can certainly be reading on the bottom of your screen like a subtitle. It's closed caption like you would watch on TV. And now you've enhanced your presentation and accommodated other types of learners that are in the room with you. Now, you could also, and I think this is a bit of a hack, you could also record a Google presentation using really any screen capture software, and then you would have your captions embedded right within your video. Now, is this perfect? No. Like I said, I've been playing with this for a couple of weeks. I've used it in class, and I used it in the presentation that I'm going to be sharing with you in just a little bit, but it's not perfect. So for example, when I say Nessie, so if I say, my name is Chris Nessie, it comes up as not N-E-S-I, which is the proper spelling. It comes up as N-E-S-S-I-E. So you do have to speak clearly and concisely. And I haven't really spoken to anybody who, whether you have an accent or maybe you have a speech impediment. I don't know. But if you've used this, I would certainly like to hear, your experiences with it. And, just go over to chrisnessie.com/120 or let me know on Twitter, what has your experience been with this? And if it's new to you, certainly go and try this out and see what it does and how it can enhance instruction or your next presentation. So I certainly encourage you to try this and let me know how it goes. And that's my House of EdTech recommendation. All right, now it's time for my featured content. Now, if you're a longtime listener, you might be thinking, wait, there's normally a House of EdTech Thought. And if you're new to the show, the House of EdTech Thought is where I give my opinion on education technology, something that's on my mind, just a little corner of the episode where I may not necessarily focus on education or technology, or I do. You know, it's my podcast, and I will do that segment the way I want to. But that segment's not in this episode because my featured content today really is one giant EdTech thought / my thoughts on the power of podcasting in education. Now, what I'm going to be playing for you in just a minute or so is a recording that was captured on International Podcast Day, which was on September 30th, 2018. And International Podcast Day is now every September 30th, and they've been doing this for a couple of years now. And I was fortunate enough to connect with the people who run it and get selected, invited to make a presentation on International Podcast Day, where there were probably 30 to 35 presentations from all different points in the world for an hour at a time, talking about all different aspects of podcasting. And I love podcasting. I love podcasting about education. I think all teachers should try it. I think students should be exposed to it in terms of a tool for learning and also to encourage and foster creation and collaboration and creativity in our students. So I had the opportunity, again, on International Podcast Day to speak for 45, 50 minutes on this topic. And I'm going to be sharing the audio with you now. And there'll be a link in the show notes over at chrisnessy.com/120 to my presentation, and a link to the YouTube video that I have been given permission to extract the audio from. But I'm not going to delay it any further. Let's go right now. I'm going to toss it from me over to me in the past on International Podcast Day. And I hope you enjoy the presentation, and I will be back on the other side. All right, like I said, for those of you checking out the live stream here, I am going to be inserting the audio from this presentation in after I'm done recording and being live. I will add that in, and the presentation is going to be right there inside of the episode. So that's really exciting. And let's see, just to keep up with a little bit of the chat that's happening. So over on Facebook, Mark, thank you for letting me know that I look and sound great. Typically, I feel that I have a face for radio. So thank you very much, and I'm glad the audio is coming in clear. Let's check over on the Twitch. It looks like maybe 2 people are watching. Hello. If you're on Twitch, please leave a message here in the Twitch chat room and let me know who you are, where you're from, your role in education. I'd love to say hello to you. And it doesn't look like anything is happening over on the YouTube chat. And let's check to see if this ever made it to Periscope. Let's see. Refresh TweetDeck. And let's see. Also, it's good that nobody called the number. Although, hey, if you're watching and you want to call the show, I'd be happy to take your call. It might make the final cut of the episode. So if you want to join here and chat with me for a little bit, the number is 732-903-4869. That is the feedback hotline, and whether I'm doing it live or not, you can always call that number and let me know your thoughts. But it looks like Periscope is working, so I'm going to click that just to make sure that it is. Here on a slightly dreary Saturday afternoon in New Jersey. All right, so it looks like... All right, so yeah, cool. Excellent, all right. Okay, so I will restart the recording, and we will come out of the conversation, and we'll get right to the House of EdTech VIP, the closing, and then you can enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon. So here we go. All right, I hope you enjoyed that International Podcast Day presentation that I had the opportunity to do. If you have questions about podcasting, either for yourself, for your classroom, for your students, I want to help you. I would love to be a part of that. I would love to have a conversation. So all you need to do is reach out to me. If you go to chrisnessy.com/feedback, that'll give you all the different ways that you can get in touch with me if you want to know more about podcasting in education, outside of education. I just love to do this, and it's so much fun. But with that being said, let's move on to the next piece of the episode, and that is, of course, the House of Edtech VIP, which no episode of this show is complete until we recommend somebody awesome that you need to connect with. So for this episode, I'd like to introduce you to and recommend that you connect with Jancy Clark. Jancy is an experienced teacher and instructional coach focused on developing teacher strengths, building global PLNs, and inspiring a passion for learning. She's a frequent speaker and workshop presenter at both international and online conferences, and she is a steering committee member of the ASCD Connected Community and a founder of the NESA Core Collaborative. As a social media advocate for As a social media advocate for the Educator Collaborative, Jancy co-created and launched the Global Kind Project. Jancy also developed and launched the Professional Passion Project to inspire teachers to pursue their educational passions and share their findings both locally and globally. In addition to elementary and secondary education certification, Jancy holds a Bachelor of Arts in English from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I just had a little Jordan thing go through my head. And she also holds a Master's of Education from Walden University and is certified as a math specialist in international schools. Jancy is an avid tweeter, blogger, and writer for educational organizations. You could check out her website, which is jancyclarkconsulting.com, and her name is spelled Jancey, Clark, Clark. She is on Twitter at Jancy5. Congratulations, Jancy. You are a House of Ed Tech VIP. Hey, thank you for checking out this episode of the House of Ed Tech podcast. Keep the conversation going. I would love to connect with you and hear your thoughts on the information and the resources that I shared in this episode and any episode. At any time, please feel free to share feedback. For this particular episode, you're going to want to head over to chrisnessy.com/120, and that's CHRISNESI.com. Or you can go to the feedback page, and you can send me SpeakPipe, send me an email me audio, connect on Twitter, Instagram. I'm everywhere. Let's be friends. Let's be connected. Now, if you enjoy the House of Ed Tech, do me one huge favor. Tell somebody else about this podcast. Now, if you're checking this out and you're not a teacher, maybe there's a teacher in your life, let them know. Every teacher should be using technology to some degree. Now, if you share the podcast on social media, use the hashtag House of Ed Tech, and you can also tag me at Mr. Nessy or at House of Ed Tech, and I'm at House of Ed Tech on Instagram for the show, so that would be awesome. Again, I'm trying to do something awesome here with the show and grow it and reach as many educators as possible, and you can help that happen. The other thing you can do is you could consider becoming an awesome supporter of the podcast. My awesome supporter program is powered by Patreon, and I'm very excited. I have a brand new patron. I want to say hello and thank you to Anthony Arnelle. Anthony is a fellow New Jersey educator, and he's also a podcast host. He hosts the New Teacher podcast, which you can find at newteacher.org. Thank you so much, Anthony, for becoming an awesome supporter. The rest of the awesome supporters include Eric Kurtz from ControlAltAchieve.com, Dan Gallagher from GallagherTech.edublogs.org, Peggy George from Classroom 2.0 Live, Jen Giffen from the Shooks and GIF podcast, which you can find at bit.ly/shooksandgif, Mark Grindell, Jeff Herb from InstructionalTechTalk.com, Mike Messner, JP Prezavento from the Bits and Bytes of Education podcast over on jpprez.com. And thank you to Scott Titmus and Brent Warner. Brent Warner hosts the Edtech.tv podcast that you can find over at edtech.tv. Thank you everybody for all your support. And if you are interested in becoming an awesome supporter, go to chrisnessy.com/awesome. The next episode of the podcast will be number 121. That comes out on November 4th, where I'll be revealing the winner of the Mead Laminator and also start to get those EdTech recommendations in for the Smackdown. Until next time, thank you for learning with me. And remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try. All right, we are done with the episode. Again, I'm going to go back and put in some of that information. So it looks like we have a comment here from Heartbreak Hunter over on Twitch. So you know a lot about technology, right? Like gaming consoles and stuff. Having huge problems with my PS4. Heartbreak Hunter, what's your problem? Throw it in the chat. What's going on? Vinay, how are you doing? If you're still watching on Facebook Live, I just finished recording the episode 120 of the podcast. And Evan Abramson, my man, my brother from New Jersey, former technology director in my school district, checking us out on Periscope. Thank you, Evan. Love the show. Now, just so you know, Evan, I have not forgotten about you. I'm never going to forget about you. I just need to get you here on the show, and hopefully we'll get to reconnect at EdCamp New Jersey coming up on November 17th. Now, if you are from New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Connecticut, small promo, EdCamp New Jersey 2018 is coming up on Saturday, November 17th. We're going to be in 2 locations. I'm very happy to be leading EdCamp New Jersey on the organizing committee. And we're doing it in 2 places, both New Brunswick High School and Egg Harbor Township High School. So if you are from the southernmost areas of New Jersey, you don't have to make a far drive. You can head over to Egg Harbor Township High School. For all the information related to that, you're going to want to head over to edcampnewjersey.net, and New Jersey is spelled out. As we wrap up the live stream here, I do want to thank you for stopping in at any point during this video and checking out the podcast. If you're not subscribed, please head over to chrisnessy.com/subscribe. And there are any number of places that you can subscribe to the podcast, whether it's Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. I am everywhere that you could potentially find a podcast. And if you happen to listen somewhere where I'm not, please let me know so I could figure out how to get there. For the whole House of EdTech team, and that's me, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.